The Walmart Birkin, or the Workin as it was dubbed online, has went so viral and gathered so much attention online that it has now garnered a response direct from Hermes itself, with the Hermes CEO Axel Dumas calling it detestable. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. I have put out 2 videos already on this channel talking about the viral Walmart Birkin, or the Workin. This was a version of the Birkin which looked online very similar to the Birkin, so similar that people were calling it the Workin, and it blew up all over TikTok especially. This bag was everywhere. You could not go onto TikTok, onto the For You page, without seeing people talking about and unboxing this viral Walmart Birkin, and it got so much attention. People were interested in it. I was interested in it. I was interested to see what the Walmart version of a Birkin looked like. And originally this was around about $80. This was not a pure leather version. There was then a leather version introduced onto Walmart that was over $300. There was a variety of them. And what it transpired whenever I watched some more videos, got some more information from you guys, was that it was not actually Walmart that was selling their own Walmart version of a Birkin. Rather, Walmart was acting a little bit like an online shopping forum, a bit like Amazon, and selling bags that were listed by other sellers but being sold through their storefront. I actually didn't know, not being from America, that that happens in Walmart. I thought that the products sold in Walmart were Walmart's products. I did not know that they had an online shopping forum that is a bit like those e-commerce sites that sell from other individual sellers, and they're then sold on underneath the Walmart website to other people. And it went so viral. This bag was everywhere. It was being talked about from so many different sources, so many different creators. People were obsessed with talking about this Birkin, alternative known as the Workin. I actually thought it would have been quite quirky if it had the Workin stamped inside it, but that's when I thought it was a Workin Birkin rather than a third-party seller selling through Walmart. They went so viral that they then disappeared from Walmart's site. There was a list of these underneath Walmart, all around about the $80, and then those that went up. And all of a sudden, the whole seller's catalogue was removed. Everything that the seller that Walmart was selling the Workin as or through was removed. Everything they were selling, not just this bag, all of their listings were removed from Walmart. You guys let me know that, and I made a video and we talked about it, and I was wondering, had something happened? Had Hermes sent some sort of a legal letter? Did we sniff a lawsuit coming? Was there a warning? Was there a cease and desist? Were Walmart effectively told, you are too close to what we sell, get rid of these? And all of these were removed from the site. Some of you guys come into the comment box and said, yes, I think that could have happened. Others said, I don't even think that has to have happened, that Walmart is such a big store in America that it is far larger than Hermes, that they themselves wouldn't take that risk. And when they saw the amount of attention this was getting and the risk that this could create for them, that Walmart themselves have went on and removed everything from that seller. Nobody actually knows what happened, but they were there. There was a whole list of them, and then they were removed. Then you guys come back into the comment box and into my DMs on Instagram to let me know they're back. I don't know if it's from the same seller, but there are other versions of the Walmart Birkin dupe listed on Walmart that you can now look at, and if I can find any of them, I will link them down below. These have been everywhere, as I said, all over TikTok, although it has slowed down a little bit. I have not seen as many of them being released or as many of them being unboxed on that social media site. I did get a lot of comments over there as well telling me that you had made orders. People in the US and Canada had ordered these bags, had paid their money, and then the order was cancelled and their money was refunded. There was a good mix of people in the comment box talking about, yes, I've got mine, it's great, it's fab, I'm loving it, I'm rocking it. And then there was another whole section of the comment section that was very disappointed that they had placed their order for these bags and they had been cancelled and they didn't get them. That had went on for a number of weeks, and the Workin became almost like a name itself, as in the Birkin and the Workin, and it was very well known. There was then a little bit of a calm, a little bit of a period where not much was happening, and then one of you fabulous people sent me a link to an article that is on the business of fashion. Now, if you're interested in luxury fashion news, if you like to stay up with what's happening, this is a great website to follow. You can get a free trial. This is not sponsored. I just follow it. I think it's a very good website. If you're interested in this industry, to keep up to date with what's happening, their news is normally pretty on point and lets you know what the things that are going on with all of the fashion houses. Before I had even come across it, one of you fabulous people sent me the link to the article on Instagram, and the title of the article, and I will link it down below in the description box, is Hermes responds to the Walmart Birkin dupe culture. And there are a couple of interesting issues I think come to light from this article. One of the things I had queried whenever I first put my first video out on this was, are Hermes going to care? Because there has always been dupes. There have been dupes from time began, I would imagine, of all the bags that we love and covet from the luxury houses. There are dupes of them, and then there are out and out counterfeits of them, copies of them that pretend to be the actual bag when they're not the bag, or dupes. Personally, I don't have an issue with dupes. I think if you're buying a bag that's not trying to be an exact replica, it's not trying to put itself out as being something that it isn't, I don't see an issue with that. When it is a counterfeit, if somebody is selling that as an authentic bag, I do have an issue with that. I do not support that industry, and I think that leaves a lot of people open to being scammed, to buying an awful lot of money thinking that they're buying a genuine authentic bag, and it's not, it's a fake. And I think there are a lot of sellers who are unscrupulous about that, and they try to pass those off and get people's hard-earned money even though what they're buying is not authentic. On the flip side of that, if you choose to buy replicas or counterfeit bags, but you know that's what you're buying, then that's entirely your choice. I do know there's a whole discussion behind that about what happens in the counterfeit industry and how there can be real concerns about how people are treated and what's happening in those industries. That is not what I'm discussing in this video. All I will say is that for me personally, I choose not to buy counterfeits. Dupes I am okay with though, and I've said in videos, if I had not been able to get the Hermes Mini Kelly directly from the store, I thought that wasn't going to happen. My intention had been to buy a dupe of that bag. The reason being is that that bag is so expensive on the resale market. It can be in and around £20,000. I was not going to even consider that when I had never tried using the bag and I had never worn the bag. I didn't know if the bag worked for me. Now, £20,000 on one of those resale, I'm not buying. But if there was ever an option where there was one that was slightly more reasonable, I wasn't doing it at that sort of price without having first tried the bag. So I would have got a dupe of that Mini Kelly to make sure that I loved it before I considered whether or not the resale market is something that would work for me. A dupe though, not a counterfeit, and that's just my personal choice. Hermes though, I had wondered, because dupes have always been about, are they actually going to be that bothered? Are they actually going to respond to this? I then on the second video reflected and thought, yeah, well, obviously I missed the point on that, of course, because it's impacting their brand. Something has happened and Walmart has now removed all of the sellers' listings from their site. They're no longer available, so something must have happened. And now Hermes have actually come out themselves. The CEO, Axel Dumas, has actually discussed this and commented on this at a presentation that he was given talking about the brand's profits and where the brand is currently sitting. This in itself is interesting. There's a lot of videos online at the moment talking about the fall of luxury and how luxury prices in some certain brands are going down, how luxury profits are going down. I said in a video recently, almost tongue-in-cheek, they're not poor, these brands, they're doing okay. And where these remarks were made by Dumas was at a presentation for Hermes annual results, and their full year sales rose 15% excluding currency shifts, topping 15 billion euro or around about 16 billion American dollars. That's a huge amount of money. And there is more discussion in this article about Hermes sales accelerating, and they had raised hopes in respect of how they were performing because China's economy had started to turn around. The leather goods powerhouse reported quarterly revenue up 18% at year end. Sales picked up in China, whose sluggish economy had been weighing on luxury brands. Now, I was speaking to one of the SAs in one of the major houses on Bond Street in London not that long ago, and they were saying that they had noticed a real decline on Bond Street in London, which was where all all of the luxury houses are housed, basically, about how their sales have been decreasing, and they were talking about it from the store they worked in and also other stores on that road. But that will be as a result not only of the economy and the world economy and China's economy slowing down, because they do have a lot of Asian buyers whenever people are traveling, but also as a result of Brexit. It used to be if people were coming from America and shopping in London, where there's an immense amount of huge luxury stores, they could get their tax or their VAT refund when they went back to America. Since Brexit, that no longer occurs. If you now travel to England, London, to buy luxury goods from America, you will no longer get that VAT or tax refund. All of that changed whenever England left the European Union. You can, however, jump on the Eurostar to Paris, which is what they were telling me their customers are outwardly telling them that they're doing. Jump on the Eurostar to Paris, buy the same goods in Paris, buy them to the euro conversion as opposed to the sterling conversion, and then when you go home, get your VAT refund, which can be 12%, 15% on some of these brands. That's a huge amount of money when you're spending the sort of money that these brands cost. And certainly the stores in London are reporting seeing a huge downturn as a result of a mix of all of these factors. Axel Damas went on to say, "We are seeing positive signs, but not enough to definitively call it a turnaround." So they're still being cautious about the world economy. Sales are picking up, but again, they're not poor and they're not having to really worry about their bottom line just yet. But there has been a little bit of a slowdown, and that tied in then to the comments that he made at this conference where he was talking about their results in respect of the Walmart Birkin, and this itself was actually touched upon in his comments. So much for me saying in the first video that Hermes wouldn't have bothered about this or worried about it because they're such a huge brand and there's always been counterfeits. No, their CEO actually addressed it at one of their recent conferences, and this article goes on to talk about why it thinks the Walmart Birkin struck such a nerve. And it says, like I have been saying in this video, there are countless dupes for luxury goods available. But the fact that a copycat version of Hermes' ultra coveted bag attracted so much attention online, how viral the Walmart Birkin went effectively, speaks to a shift in consumer sentiment around buying knockoffs. So what the article is saying is that because this was so welcomed online, because it went so viral, people were basically celebrating this viral version of the Walmart Birkin, that this author thinks that shows a shift in people's mindsets about buying counterfeit bags or dupes or knockoffs, as opposed to, knockoffs is the term they use in the article before anybody comes at me, is showing a shift in where people are at about buying the original, playing the game, spending the money, chasing the original, buying the resale, buying all of the other things you have to buy that goes along with it, versus going and buying a dupe. And what Axel Damas actually said at this conference was a response to the proliferation of copycat products fueled by online dupe culture, which in recent months have included a lookalike of the French brand's flagship Birkin sold by Walmart for $80. And this is what he says. Alex Damas says, "It's hard," and I will link this article obviously down below to credit the author, "It's hard to say what to think about this because it's a grey area. Of course I was mad. Because copying our IP or intellectual property, copying our creativity is pretty much detestable. It's stealing someone else's work," Damas said. So when he was talking about the Walmart Birkin version for the $80, he called it detestable. And what he was saying was detestable was the breach or the stealing of their intellectual property, i.e. their design, to basically copy the design, because the design of the Walmart version of the Birkin was so similar. There was unboxings on TikTok showing the bag with the clochette, with the key, although it did have a strap to make it different, which might get around IP laws. I'm no IP lawyer, but that might differentiate it enough. But the bag itself, the way the bag was put together, I have my Hermes version of the Birkin here. This was here, this was here. Obviously, the leather won't have been the same if you were actually touching it and feeling it, the stitching, the craftsmanship, etc., etc. But the look of the bag. So what he's talking about is stealing the intellectual property, which is the design of the bag looked very, very, very similar. And to the minds of the CEO of Hermes, he is describing this as being detestable. At the same time, he went on to acknowledge the ambiguity surrounding many copycat products. People know the difference in quality. No one thinks they're getting a real Hermes bag. In a way, it's a compliment, which probably wasn't done with malice, he said. So what he then goes on to say is people are not buying the $80 version of this from Walmart thinking that they're getting an Hermes product. Of course they're not. Please credit people with a little bit of intelligence. Nobody is that silly. They do not think that they're going on to Walmart's website and buying an $80 bag that is an actual Birkin. But what he is saying, and perhaps softening the detestable comment about these copycats being produced, is that actually it's a compliment that people want to have their brand, have the look of their bag, and they're buying a dupe because it's a very similar article to what they sell. That's one way of thinking about it. I think also when you watched a lot of the viral content on this, a lot of people were also doing it almost as a two fingers up to Hermes. They don't like the exclusivity of the Hermes brand. They don't like how you go about buying the bags if you buy them direct by store. They don't like that you have to buy other things, the Hermes journey, the Hermes game. They don't like that Hermes effectively tries to exclude a lot of people from being able to buy their goods and their bags specifically. And a lot of people were buying the Birkin almost as a ha-ha to Hermes. Now, there was then discussion on that, on whether or not, well, you're talking about not liking the Hermes game, but you're buying effectively what looks the same as the bag, and whether or not that actually followed through as an argument. There was a lot of two-way discussions, and I found this topic so interesting because it started so much debate and it sparked so much discussion on both sides of it. And I suppose seeing how viral it went and how much discussion it did start really does lead into why the CEO of Hermes himself is talking about it at their conference about their sales, and is touching upon this very version of the bag, calling it detestable, and talking about the copycat bags in general. I thought that was very interesting that it had actually reached that far and their CEO was discussing it at their conference, talking about their sales. I also thought it was interesting to look at the sales results and how things have been turning around and what's been going on with the brands. But I do find this sort of thing and the business side of the luxury bags and houses very, very interesting. But the Birkin, the working, that whole topic just did grab my attention, and I loved the debate that it sparked. What do you think of this? Do you think that we're now done with the working or the Walmart Birkin? And what do you think about the comments made by the Hermes CEO? Obviously, he also got a little bit of criticism. There was the video that he did where he sat down, I think, with an Australian programme and was talking about you just have to wait to get the bag, and if we had them, we would sell them to you. And a lot of people thought that was a very soft piece, maybe a PR piece done coming around about and in advance of the lawsuit that has been filed in America. That lawsuit, of course, is linked to pre-purchasing, where you have to buy other things to then be able to buy the bag. Two people, I think, have filed a lawsuit, and I have a video on that as well. I'll link all these Hermes videos down in the description box if you're interested in this topic. I find it fascinating, and I will be following along because it interests me, and I think the lawsuit itself is also going to be very interesting. Let me know what you think about this whole topic and what you think about the comments that have now been made by the CEO at their conference. And if you've enjoyed this or found it informative in any way, please do consider giving this video a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please do consider subscribing. And if you're not done with me yet, I'm going to leave another video for you on the screen to enjoy. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching me. Please take care, and I will see you again in the next one.